Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Bill.
So glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're the G. Are you the? Is that G for Gibbs?
Yes, sir. I'm the Gibbs behind the G, I guess.
Okay. All right. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about Steve. He is an attorney who approaches his practice of law from a unique perspective because of his experience not only as an attorney but also as an entrepreneur and as well a licensed business broker. All that, a line or two before we get into the hardcore questions and what everybody wants to know about, and your website that you're launching as we speak. A line or two about who you are.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bill. I'm an attorney. I've been licensed I'm licensed in Minnesota and Florida.
Okay.
I've been an attorney for 12 years and started my own practice 2.5 years ago with a commitment to providing client-centered legal services, which is really about what makes the most sense for the clients, and trying to tailor what I do to serve the clients that way. And the website that I'm going to be talking about is aimed at that, to make things as easy and as economical for clients as possible to get the legal documents that they need.
So we will show you the address for that website, which is going live as we speak. But I want to talk, if we could, for a minute about estate planning and start with the question of, it's pretty basic, what exactly is estate planning?
I'm so glad you asked that question, Bill, because really the estate planning is about having your legal documents in order to protect the assets that you have. And assets can be anything from real estate to bank accounts to vehicles to other kinds of investments, stocks, bonds, whatever. So, and everybody's estate is different, but everybody needs basic documents. And that's really the planning side of that, is putting those documents in order to protect your family. To take care of those that you love and make sure that if something happens to you, that the process is real easy for the family members to figure out and the assets to be taken care of in an effective manner.
What could happen if you don't get those documents together and consult with an attorney like you? What could be the consequences?
Well, we see all kinds of crazy things happen. We see thousands of dollars spent on guardianships, for example, where a power of attorney could have been done, which is a very simple document. We see probates that have to be done, and probate is a lengthy court process to retitle assets. And we see that they have to be done if the documents aren't put in order, where a trust could have been set up and avoid countless hours and expense to the family. We see confusion and fighting amongst family members where the documents weren't put in place to specify who gets what. And so you see a whole parade of horribles happen when people ignore the whole estate planning process. And oftentimes, surprisingly, it's people with fairly large estates that forget to put simple documents in place. And it can end up to be World War III and a huge amount of stress. Another thing I want to mention is if you don't have living will documents, things like that. The Terry Schiavo case was very well publicized a couple of years ago.
We know that well, yes.
Yeah, and that could have been prevented with a simple living will and a designation of healthcare surrogate. And those documents are called an advance directive in Florida. And everybody should have one of those. It's roughly a 5-page document that needs to be put in place for pretty much for everybody. So, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to make those documents accessible to people, even with very simple estates and a very limited budget, with the online site that we're talking about.
You don't, as you told me earlier, you don't have to be a millionaire to need to do all of this and avoid what could really be a big mess and cost you, well, depending on your estate, thousands, maybe even millions of dollars.
Correct, depending on the size of the estate, of course. But yeah, even if you have a very modest estate and very few assets, the simple will, the power of attorney, and the living will are very essential because they prevent so much heartache and so much confusion amongst family members. So a simple will would be simply something like, I want my assets to go to my kids. A power of attorney would be, I want so-and-so to manage my business affairs if something happens to me and I'm incapacitated. That's for incapacity. And then, of course, your living will document is saying that you wouldn't want to be resuscitated in certain circumstances, or you wouldn't want certain treatments done if you were in a very grim situation. And people don't like to think about this stuff, but it's very important. And
it's realistic, right?
It's very realistic, and I've never seen anybody that finished the documents not look relieved and happy that they took it on and took care of it.
Here's another way to website that you're launching. Well, there you are right there online.
That looks like me.
That does not mean. This is your website, and you also have your online website that you want to tell everybody about. What's the address for that?
That is going to be www.onlinelawyerflorida.com. Okay,
There it is right there.
right, and this website that you're seeing right now online is going to totally change. It's going to go live. It may already be live by the time the show airs, but and it's going to change substantially, and it contains a lot of resources for clients to basically do everything online, including retain traditional services by virtue of email and contacting us that way. And so there's a lot of great resources there. So
another great resource is a seminar that you'll be holding on September 27th. Tell everybody about that and what this opportunity is. What happens at this?
absolutely, this is something I've been doing consistently for about a year, and actually for several years, but on my own for about a year. And it's basically a time to kind of do a complete overview on estate planning and asset protection. So it includes everything from basic wills and trust type planning to protecting your assets through LLCs and corporations, and it gets into some things that I hadn't even mentioned. But asset protection is obviously a very important topic that people want to know about. Foreclosures, short sale issues, things like that. We also touch on that.
You got to know about that. You got to know about that. All right,
Absolutely.
a special offer because you're watching the Morning Blend on the day that Steve Gibbs is here. What is this right here, Steve?
Actually, we're offering individuals for a basic living trust. We're offering a $500 flat fee special, and this is something that will be featured on the website as well. But it's going to be something that we'll actually do within the office for Morning Blend listeners.
And it's a pour-over will?
Yes. If you think, Bill, like a pitcher pouring water over into a trust, that's what a pour-over will is. Of course, we'll explain that more, but that includes the pour-over will.
And then you have the basic living trust for $700. What is this?
Right, that's for a married couple, $700 for a basic trust and pour-over will. One thing I want to qualify is if additional planning is required, we will mention that. And so a basic may not be adequate, but we are offering that for listeners.
Stephen Gibbs, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bill.
G stands for go. G stands for Gibbs.
And get it done.
Yeah, get it done. What you're about to do. Thank you so much for being here.
You're very
Glad
welcome.
to have you. G stands for glad to have you.